Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambas, well, he needs no introduction in the Gambia. He's part of our country's vocabulary. From 2016 to date, Dr. Chambas has been settling in and out of Banjul. A lot of people hail him as a savior, but a lot of people also who also knew him believe that he is not a savior, to say the least. Essa Bokar Sy, you've been around during the, what I would say, turbulent days or critical days when it was difficult, or even during the impasse when many Gambians thought that war was inevitable. Dr. Chambers was recently in Banjul, among other things, to try to see how can this tall draft constitution come to life. What is your take on this?
Well, first of all, I want to recognize the fact that Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambas, the way he is called, or some write it as Mohammed, is a Ghanaian son, is a West African son, is an African son before anything else. He is a 74-year-old African man, and his name began to be amplified within the world geopolitical arena through a former military leader, Jerry Rawlings. Many people don't know. I think the party is NDC, National Democratic Congress, or something like that. He is a member of that party. So, to me, Isa, the legacy of the man himself is impressive for some, but it's questionable for some. Because if you began that way with a person in the name of Jerry Rawlings, I don't think you would have much to sell as far as what I would call, quote unquote, a superimposed image of democracy and diplomacy. So I have nothing against certain individuals, professionals, whether they are doctors or whatever, within the arena of politics, particularly in West Africa, but we must be ready to do away with this personality cult of individuals calling them solutions. For me, Dr. Ibn Chambas is not the solution for anything that is occurring in the Gambia or any other country for that matter. But now let's scale it down to the Gambia. Well, Dr. Chambas has been in many places. He has occupied high positions at the United Nations, and he did something according to his resume or his CV in Darfur. Usually, these images that are built by institutions, when they are presented, it is as if they are the only players, when actually there are other players who did a lot. Because in the Gambia, we do not lack people who can do exactly what he's doing or even more. Because this is the Gambia of Dr. Wali Ndao. This is the Gambia of Dr. Lamin Sise. Okay? This is the Gambia of Ambassador Babukar Blaise Diagne and others. These people have played roles on the international arena. Okay? So I'm just trying to showcase diplomacy now. Now, to the other side of it, this is the Gambia of political party leaders whom over the years I've said, had they had the way to amplify their efforts, I think our political party leaders, particularly those who were there before the new dispensation of parties that started sprouting after 2016, they deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. People like Khalifa Abubakar Sallah, Sidia Jata, people like Ousainou Nubukunda Dabo, and posthumous people like Femi Peters and others. I think other countries would have presented these people to the to the committee that offers Nobel Peace Prize. Why do I say so? Because these are people who have endured a lot, starting from the PPP regime to now. Yet they have never called for any insurrection or anything related to that. That's what democracy calls for. That is what democracy is all about. So if you have people like that on the ground, well, as far as I know, the leaders of the Doi party are vast in what is about law, sociology, sub-regional matters. These are people who write papers and send them to institutions, universities, and other conferences where they are recognized internationally, and they solve issues for outside countries, whether it is announced in the open or not. You have Uzeru Numukundadabo, who is a legal draftsman.
Okay.
So I think...
Let me interject,
yeah.
Mr. C.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to say that before we look for solutions from
Correct.
outside, why can't we look from within?
Correct. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying, Mr. Balde. That's right. Because
but let me come in here. This is an issue that is sensitive, and it may attract the interest of individuals who are from within. So maybe the government or whoever consulted Dr. Ibn Chambas or Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambas to come over and mediate at a very critical time of our political history. Don't you think that was perhaps why Dr. Chambas was consulted?
Well, I am a person who does my analysis between causes and effects. In retrospect, there was a time I was on a television in the Gambia when the change of government happened in Niger. And I made reference to the same thing. The same people are mentioning now. I said, we have individuals in that country who could be set up as a delegation, and they would have achieved results. So coming back to what I'm trying to say right now is that, you see, why not the current government does the chores, the cleaning home first? Because it's like, at the moment, there is no tension per se. Because if we want to compare what is happening now to what happened in 2016, that will be erroneous. But what caused 2016, what is happening now also is part of it. Because Dr. Ibn Chambas, the one that I say, I don't know why some people want to raise the flag for him and want to consider him the West African Henry Kissinger. No, that is not the case. Like I said, his own track record of having worked with, worked for, and worked under a person in the capacity of Jerry Rawlings, who is no more. I don't think he has anything different from the professionals we have in the Gambia. So inviting him in right now, for example, what we should do first before Dr. Chambas comes in.
But now, let me comment.
If you cut me here, it will not do justice to my thread of thought. Okay. I need to finish my thread of thought.
No, because okay? No, you made two issues that I wanted you to clarify. Okay. Do you want to say that J.J. Rawlings is staying, or J.J. Rawlings, having worked for J.J. Rawlings, would tantamount to you not having your diplomatic credentials clean, or what? That's just what.
No, it's not about the cleanliness of the person. It's not about how dirty or clean you are. What I'm trying to say is the people championing him as an exemplary character, as an outstanding icon in the arena of diplomacy. We do not want to base it on that only, because there are other people in the Gambia who can do more than what he's doing. What I'm saying is that the beginning of the man, okay, for example, Essa Bokar Sy today will say to anybody that I am here to restore peace in your country. I am the best diplomat. And okay, I've never worked with any dictator. Somebody can tell me, look, you once worked with Yahya Jammeh. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. But working, I'm not trying to say that he is not clean, Jerry Rawlings is not clean. What I'm trying to say is, let us also reduce the tempo of raising the flag of individuals, whether it is Dr. Ibn Chambas or not, to a point where like they are the most qualified, the cleanest and the best, and the Henry Kissingers of West Africa. That's what I don't agree with. And if you allow me, I will delve into that. Because what I was trying to say was,
Right.
Dr. Ibn Chambas, before he comes to the Gambia, what we should do is to do the chores internally. How will we do that? Dr. Ibn Chambas will not just get up and come to Gambia like that. I'm sure he was invited, or somehow it caught his attention to come to the Gambia, isn't it?
Sure.
Okay, now, inside the Gambia, before we go to that state, what I'm trying to say is, before we go to that state, there are things that we should look at in the Gambia. We don't need Dr. Ibn Chambas to come to help us do that. That would be an insult to the Gambian professionals, okay? Because, number one, what we will say here is this. We have the 2020 draft constitution, which is hanging in illusions. Now, another constitution, draft constitution, we call it the 2024. The 2020 draft constitution was prepared, diagnosed, compiled, and presented by people they chose or selected to be professionals. Not only that, it's not that they were the most qualified in the Gambia, no. Not the most trusted, no. They traveled around the world. They came to New York. They came to Paris. They came to all these places to meet Gambians, which is more elaborate. What can you compare it to? Was in 1994, 96, when it's not exactly the same, but we can go back. Gambia has that history. Okay, it was more difficult when President Jammeh announced that the military junta at the time needed 4 years to complete its program. People were saying no. Who did they choose? They chose land repeaters, some people who are there today. At the time, I remember, I believe, if I am wrong, somebody can correct me, Baba Galile Jallo was part of that. Oh. And other people, what they call the consultative committee, National Consultative Committee, they went around the Gambia, met people. So the same similarities are here. These people met Gambians, and then Gambians organized themselves in a way that they told President Jammeh, you cannot go beyond this time, this number of years. At the end, what happened? It is when the 1997 Constitution started being prepared at its embryonic state. After that, what happened? We went around the country, and then a referendum was organized, and that was a military government. This is a civilian government, okay? That was a man who came to power through the barrel of the gun. This is a man who came to power through the ballot box. So if a military man could do that, that time was more difficult, because the Constitution now is debating between the 1997, 2020 draft Constitution, 2024 draft Constitution, okay? But at that time, Yahya Jammeh had suspended the 1970 Constitution and then is trying to put in a new one. That was more difficult. From the PPP era to now, I will come to another point here before you cut me off here. Sometimes I'm sorry, because I'm one individual. When my thread of thought is on, if you cut me short, it confuses me, because this is a build-up, a professional analysis. Okay, now, when we do that, presently in the Gambia, what should be our priority? The priority, Mr. Balde, should be this, okay? Let us think of the 2020 draft constitution. For me, that is the starter. For me, the 2024 is a non-starter because the group of people who looked at it is smaller when compared to the larger group that looked at the 2020 constitution is similar to how the 1997 came into existence. Okay? And then changes are made in that one where people feel that this is the real constitution we want, where term limits are, where everything is, where retroactive terms are, and all that stuff. But that should be discussed. Okay? Worst case scenario is that. And another problem we are facing right now, which is not a problem anyway. The current president, what I would think he should do is to invite the stakeholders, particularly political party leaders, civil society organizations, journalists like yourself, jurists, religious leaders, cultural leaders, for them to sit down and look at these things internally, because nobody is refusing to sit with him. I've not heard that. Okay? Some of us were there when Goodluck Jonathan and others came, when IDA came. I found them in some room meeting. This has not started today. So now when it comes to that point, and another challenge we face, why do I say that he should consult these people, is that they will give him the best advice to choose a dependable, honest, and impartial chairperson or chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission. These are the things we should look at first before we start inviting people like Dr. Ibn Chambas, in my own view.
Okay, I respect your opinion, but here is it. Don't you think the people you cited here, especially the Gambian expatriates, don't you think they will not be conflicted if there is an issue involving Gambians? They may be aligned to a particular political party, and it may really affect their expertise, their analysis. So that's why.
Yes, I mean that is what the people I am talking about here cannot be aligned to anybody. I said bring in the stakeholder. Didn't he, when he came, didn't he entertain for the president to sit with a political party leader?
Yes, but
yes, I'm coming. Yes, I'm coming. Why would he do that? If he were able to solve it independently as an arbiter, you are an arbiter of participants. You are an arbiter of stakeholders. You are an arbiter of interest groups. Okay? These people do not need an arbiter right now because there are countries in the world who call, what I'm trying to say is the concerted efforts to be placed within. I gave you an example, Mr. Balde. If only you want us to go through this circus of intellectual gymnastics here. I gave you an example which is more difficult. Okay? I gave you an example of 1996, the consultative committee, Dr. Landry Peters chaired it. They succeeded. That is more difficult than this one. Why can't we repeat the same thing? There is nothing like, okay, if you tell me they are going to be biased, is the incumbent not the head of a party?
Yes.
He is the head of the NPP, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, what should be done is not about fearing who will be biased, but what should be done is to expand the circle of, consensus. There is no way that you will say you will regularize this thing by snubbing or ignoring or sidelining or dwarfing the influence of any political party leader for that matter. There is no possibility to do that. Now, so what I am trying to say is let us not entertain what is not yet there, because I don't know why an arbiter should come in as if there is tension. So far, there is no tension. The issue is this, Mr. Bade. Look, me, naturally, this is the way I am. I don't like the idea of trying to anoint where I don't need to anoint anything. The facts are this, Mr. Balde. People are dancing between what is tricky and what is pretentious. Let us dance between what is factual and what is rational. What is rational here is, before we invite anybody to come to talk about that 2024 anything, the 2020 draft constitution is there. What the point? There is no bone to pick with anybody. There is nothing like being biased. No, no, no. It's a question of tabling it for us to talk about it. Because at the end of the day, why would we invite Dr. Ibn Chambas when we went through worse days in the 90s, 96, and so forth?